Hi there, welcome to Neppy Invests. On April 13, Zip released their Q3 updates, and it felt a little bit like deja vu because in January, in fact on January 21st, when they released their Q2 update, the exact same thing happened with Zip's share price. In January, when they released the update, the share price rose about 23%, and on April 13, the share price rose 16%. After the share price rose about 23% in January, the share price went on a run from about $7 to a high of $14. So all eyes will be on what happens with Zip's share price over the next few days. So in this video, I'll go through this Q3 update, talk about it, tell you what I think about the update. I know I do think it's a little bit bullish, maybe not quite as bullish as the January update, but still I was actually quite impressed by this update. So let's get stuck into it and look at this update. Before I talk about Q3 update, let's go back in time and look what happened on January 21st when Zip released their Q2 trading update. A very bullish share price and volume action on that day. The share price rose about 23% on higher volume, and in fact a very bullish looking one-day candle when the share price finished at the high of the day. So that was a very good sign to get into Zip on this day. Even subsequent days when the share price went sideways. I'll show you what happened in subsequent days in the next slide. So this was a good sign, a breakout sign in Zip's share price, and subsequently did see the share price rise to $14 in the next about 3 weeks or so. So very interesting share price action over the last 3 months when it comes to Zip. And here is the update to Zip's chart up until the closing on April 13. And on January 21st, the share price did rise 23%. And after that, about 6 trading days, the share price went sideways. And that would have been the ideal time to buy, because whenever you see that consolidating share price action after a nice share price rise like we did see with Zip, it shows you there is a lot of strength out there in the company's share price. And then we saw the share price rise on that strength to a high of $14. A little bit of weakness from then until the low of just about $7.50 or so that we saw towards the end of March. Then we saw a little bit of strength before this trading update on April 13. And when you compare the candlestick days from January 21st update to the Q3 update on April 13, they're very similar looking candlesticks. A little bit lower volume on April 13, and the share price action only increased by 16%, but the share price is a little bit higher. So what I'm interested in with Zip over the next few days is to see what happens with the share price. If it goes sideways, just like we saw in January 21st, it shows you there's still some strength in there. There's enough buyers taking out all those sellers who are taking profits right now. So sideways motions will be very bullish, and I might take another position in Zip. I already do have a long-term holding, but I might buy in as a trading parcel if I see that consolidating motion in the share price. So now to the trading update for Zip for the Q3. Now I do have my own expectations before the company releases these updates, and particularly I'm looking at quarter-on-quarter growth. Now, my own expectations for Zip for this current quarter, or just finished in March, was there was potential some of these numbers were going to be down when looking at the quarter-on-quarter growth, simply because the previous quarter contains Christmas and the lead up to Christmas. So a lot of people are spending. It is the best time of year for retail companies. So I expected there could have been some weakness in these numbers for Zip. So I wouldn't have been surprised to see some negative growth numbers, and we didn't really see that. The only negative number here was transaction volume overall and in Australia and New Zealand, down 1% overall and down 8% in Australia and New Zealand. In the United States, up 8%. So very happy with that. Now compare these quarter-on-quarter growth numbers to the previous quarter growth rates, but it's like comparing apples to oranges, because that was the best quarter for retail companies. So you would have expected stellar numbers, but those numbers even exceeded my expectations. So the fact that revenue is up 10%, transaction volume only down 1%, but up 8% in USA with QuadPay, and transaction overall up 16%. A very bullish looking numbers, and this is why the market set the share price of Zip up 16% on the day. Continuing with the trading update, looking at customers and merchants, and again, we do have positive numbers here. Customers increasing 12% quarter on quarter, and United States QuadPay is doing really well at this point in time, up 19%, 3.8 million customers compared to 2.6 million in Australia and New Zealand, and that was still up 4%. And I would have a feeling right now in Australia and New Zealand we're getting to a more mature stage in amount of customers, merchants we're going to be seeing over the next few years. So we should be seeing those numbers come down, but the growth rates are going to be in the international markets, and we're seeing that in the United States. And it's another reason why a lot of buy now, pay later companies in Australia are expanding rapidly overseas, or they're spending a lot of money trying to expand overseas. And merchants up 18%, including United States up 55%. So QuadPay again doing very well. You can see the year-on-year numbers for United States up 550% when it comes to merchants. So they're putting a lot or spending a lot of money when it comes to growing the company overseas. And that's what you want to see simply because, again, Australia is starting to mature when it comes to the buy now, pay later segment. With buy now, pay later, always look at arrears and net bad debts, and to make sure they're not starting to balloon upwards. And we do see that, or we don't see that with Zip Pay. Arrears is up a little bit, but net bad debts is actually down from the previous quarter. So that's good signs there that nothing bad is happening when it comes to debts. And I always have a very quick look at borrowings, but nothing much has changed since the last quarterly update. And I'm just going to finish with the chart. So just zooming in a little bit further, focusing on from the Q2 update on January 21st. And I've already mentioned how the share price consolidated or went sideways after that 23% update. And funnily enough, when we got to a high of 14%, the share price started to drop, and it dropped all the way down to almost the identical share price where we saw the share price consolidating after the January 21st update. And in hindsight, that would have been an ideal time to buy because that was support. And in this case, support held very well because the share price rebounded off that. Personally, I wasn't really paying attention to the Zip share price at that point in time, but this was a very good point, a very risk-free point to buy in, because if it fell any further, that would have been an automatic sell. So sometimes trading does work. You do get signals, and in this case, we had a definite signal with this support level to buy in. So if you don't believe in technicals, I do think it's a good idea to keep your mind open, because sometimes it does work. And I've seen this over and over again, and you can use these signals to your own benefit. And in this point, or this case, you could have bought into Zip at around $7.50 or even a little bit less than that at a very risk-free price. So that's all I've got for this Q3 update for Zip. If you have any questions or any comments, make sure you leave it in the comment section. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. So if you do need to seek financial advice about your own circumstances, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial situation. That's all for this video. Have a good day. Bye.